Today I'm going to be talking about setting out headstocks the way you do it to get a sort of a straight pull across the headstock to avoid any issues of friction, and how to sort this out, the relationship of the nut to the back of the here to get the proper support for your machine heads. I'll be talking about this style, this cut back. I'm not going to be looking at scarfed head joints. I think that's a matter for another video. Okay, let's get on with it. So here we've got a very typical 2+1 3-string guitar. 2 on one side, 1 on the other, and it really doesn't matter which way round they go and whether it's left-handed or right-handed. As you can see, we've got this staggered arrangement because it's nice and easy. If I flip that over, you can see how the machine heads fit onto the little cigar box guitar headstock. If you look from the side, you can see this Fender style cutback on the headstock, and you'll notice there's a break angle over the nut. In this case it's a machine screw over the nut running back to the machine heads, and this middle one is pulled down by a little screw, often called a string tree. Now if you look, there's a couple of important things to note. See how much the headstock, you can see how thick the headstock is. You could make the headstock a little thicker before it started interfering with that, with the actual strings. But if you make the headstock much thinner, it's going to give a lot less support to this post, and it could start causing the machine head to, I'm exaggerating this, but the less support you have here with the thickness, the more the machine head's got a tendency to bend and for these gears to get mashed up. So one other important thing to note, you do need this break angle for the strings to stop rattling, and this bit of the headstock plays no part in that. The important thing is the distance between that nut and the back of the machine head. So obviously the further that is back, the more that's going to change the angle. Cutting that back is going to make no difference whatever, because this is going to go to this machine head. To get more break angle, you have to move that back, so you'd have to use a thicker piece of timber to do that. We've got a piece, I think this is a piece of 24 with a 6mm fretboard on it, so you can, you know, that's probably 28mm thick. But so as you can see, we've got a fairly substantial scoop, but it's this distance here which really controls the break angle, and also where you put the machine heads in relation to the nut. Let's look at a different example. If we look at this example, we've got the same thing happening. We've got a machine screw for the nut, but this time we got these side by side, so the whole thing is shortened up. The run from the nut to the furthest string is a lot shorter. We've still got this little string tree in here, but it does mean this is all about in pretty much the right direction. You could probably get away without the string tree in terms of the actual break angle, but I like to control that a little bit by having that in a straight line. Now, talking about straight line, here's the important thing with this type of setup. We're going for a straight string pull, so you can see there's a straight path over the nut to where it wraps around the machine head. Same here. And to get that straight pull, we've got this little string tree, this screw with a bushing round it. It does mean that these strings are wrapped the wrong way round the post compared to how you would string a regular guitar. But in practice, that doesn't make any difference to the operation of the machine head. What can make a big difference is if you actually put the machine heads the wrong way round, and I'll come to that in another video. So here you see this straight string pull. This is pretty much the same as the other, And you can see on the back of here, we managed to fit these machine heads side by side. Not all machine heads are narrow enough to do that. And with these, what we call our mini sealed machine heads, you'll see the important thing, the little lug, but you put the screw to stop it spinning round, runs parallel. On a lot of these machine heads, it comes off an angle, and it means you can't put these side by side. So if you want to do this really neat compact headstock, have a look at our mini sealed machine heads. Most of the machine heads, the back plates are marginally tight, and you end up with these two bits of the machine head rubbing against one another. It's not always ideal. Here's a similar arrangement on another headstock, same sort of layout. You can see the straight string pull through here. This one hasn't got a separate fretboard, so if we look at it side on, you can see this break angle starts getting a bit marginal. It's acceptable as long as you try and keep the machine heads as close to the nut as you can. I say this is a really simple guitar with no fretboard and just a round over on here rather than a fully profiled neck. But that's really about the limit, and you can see from here to here, that's a 24mm thick piece. You know, altering the thickness of that headstock isn't going to make any difference to how that comes over here. The only way you could really alter that is either put a fretboard on top, so the angle goes up, or thicken the back of that by gluing a piece off and gluing a piece on the back here, reprofiling, and so it's a lot more complicated. So here we've got another straight pull headstock. Yeah, it's this Fender Telecaster style, 3 on a side. This time it's a conventional bone nut, and you can see these are wrapped the conventional way round the machine head posts, and you got a pretty well straight pull through there. If we look at it side on, you can see we haven't bothered with any string trees. I find that if you're using a bone nut properly grooved, they're less susceptible to the strings popping out of the slots. You could put a string tree across them if you wanted. Be very careful though about, you can do it with a conventional little string tree or a bar across there, but be very careful about a really exaggerated break angle, because if you really try and force it down here, you get a lot of friction over the nut and under any bar that you might sort of put across here. So it can lead to tuning issues, breaking strings and damaging your actual machine heads. You can see on the back, plenty of room to fit those machine heads. Here's another headstock, again with not quite a straight string pull, but pretty close. So it's this almost, I think you might call it a PRS style headstock. Again, 2 on 1. So this one's pretty straight pull, and they all go the right way around the machine heads, around the posts. This one's offset just a tiny bit, but it makes as near as no difference. And you can see side of the headstock, we've got a decent break angle across all that. We've got a pretty deep neck on here. You see we've got this shaped, just a touch of a volute in there, that bit of shaping. So, and on this one, we've got a particularly nice set of custom locking machine heads with these Art Deco Bakelite buttons. That's a really nice set of machine heads. And again, we've got the bone nut. This one's got a truss rod adjuster as well. So that's a few variations on that cut back or Fender style headstock. I can also talk about doing a scarf joint headstock, and that tackles the problem of the string break in a different way. Okay, I hope that was of some help. Watch out for the next video. We're going to be talking a little bit more about how we actually install the machine heads and the different types. And again, I'll be looking to give you the advice on how to get the most trouble-free approach to doing it. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.